Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing the Steam Deck running Forza Horizon 4. Why Forza Horizon 4? Well, because I don't have the fifth one, and people actually say that Forza Horizon 4 is way better on the Steam Deck. So let's take a look, shall we? First of all, let's go to the game info and see the Steam Deck compatibility. It says that it's playable, but it's not fully verified because it requires the virtual keyboard for you to log into your Xbox account. That's super easy to do, so no problems. And after you're done with that, you don't need to do it again. Other than that, it says that the game's default graphics configuration performs well on the Steam Deck, so let's try it out. Also, as usual, I am using an external capture card to record everything here today, and I will be looking up at my screen because of it, not at the deck's display. Let's go over the settings now. Let me just get rid of the performance overlay so we can see it properly. These are the default settings for the Steam Deck. I'm actually gonna press auto detect again so you can see. Okay, it is dynamic optimization set to on, and this adjusts the visual settings dynamically, as it says there in the description on the right. And down here, the dynamic render quality is set to high. It's not the high settings preset all of the time, because it's dynamic, you know, but these are the settings that we're starting with today. Resolution is set to 1280 by 720. I'm gonna disable VSync here and unlock the FPS as well. Actually, this doesn't do anything. I played around with these settings here and it doesn't lock or unlock the FPS. The frame rate limit here on the deck does that. If you need to lock your FPS, you need to use the frame rate limit on the deck itself. Finally, in order for us to see the advanced graphics settings, we actually need to disable the dynamic optimization. I'll do it just so we can take a look at the high settings preset. This is what it looks like. And now I'm gonna go back here, continue without saving, and alright, we got the dynamic stuff on again. Let's play like this for a little bit. Alright, we got a bit of stuttering here. Look at that frame time. It's definitely not flat, and it's not because of the capture card or anything or the external display. It's just the deck itself. It runs like this. A lot of people say that this runs perfectly on their Steam Decks, but on mine, I'm not seeing perfect here. The FPS are super high, yes, and the experience is playable and it does look pretty good, especially for Forza Horizon 4. It's not even the fifth one, and it looks insanely good, actually, even at 720p. But yeah, all of that stuttering is very annoying, guys. Also, I tried restarting the deck and everything. It always runs like this with a lot of stuttering. So I will see if locking the FPS over here will fix the stuttering issues. And although the frame time is a little bit more consistent now, it still has a lot of drops and stutters. And it feels kind of bad, honestly. Like, what the hell, mate? This should run pretty well. This is a very well optimized title. I don't know why the deck is stuttering so much. Look at this. It's terrible. What the hell? I wonder how Forza Horizon 5 would run if this is how Forza Horizon 4 runs. Over here in the countryside, without any houses, it's stuttering a bit less, but it's still super noticeable. Look at that. Oh my god, okay. Alright, we got motion blur enabled as well, by the way. I'm not liking that too much, but I'll deal with it. Let's set it to 30 FPS. Maybe at 30 FPS we can get rid of all of the stuttering issues because none of the components, the CPU or the GPU will be maxed out. And that's exactly what happens. As you can see, it's kept to 30 FPS, that frame time graph is completely flat, and now the game isn't stuttery whatsoever. So this is the way to play this game. Lock it to 30 frames per second with the high settings at 720p resolution or 800p. It's gonna run basically the same. It's like a 1 or 2 FPS difference, doesn't matter. And have fun like this, because it's a much better experience than 60 FPS locked or unlocked FPS. Like, this is now very stable and pretty damn decent, and this game is super playable with 30 frames per second in my opinion. Also, crisp here on the side. This was made by a subscriber, the design of this car. zWORMz Gaming. It's so awesome. It's really awesome. It's powered by the GT710, that's why it crashes so much into trees and stuff. HD output. driver has high FPS. Well, not so much today. Alright, I'm gonna go to the map now because I really want to check out a bigger city. For example, this one. Oh yeah, the Horizon Festival site is pretty intensive in this game, so let's get there. But I wonder, since the dynamic optimizations are on and we were seeing like 80 or 70 frames per second without the FPS lock, maybe we can actually play at like ultra settings or extreme settings, for example, in Forza Horizon 4, while having 30 FPS locked and pretty much the same experience, but better graphics. That's something that we need to try out later in this video, alright? But yeah, I've seen like, what, a single noticeable stutter so far when we locked it to 30 frames per second. And actually when I started this game, it was capped to 30, now that I remember it. Even though VSync was set to on and the default FPS cap was set to 60. It was capped to 30. It took me a while to figure out why that was the case, but after locking the FPS in SteamOS instead of the game itself and unlocking them again, it actually started working properly. I guess the point is the FPS locking mechanisms inside of this game aren't really working on Steam Deck for some reason, so don't use them, okay? And it comes capped at 30 FPS out of the box. Maybe that's why people say that it runs very well and very smoothly, because it does with 30 FPS. This is a pretty good experience now. Alright, lastly, I want to play a little bit of a race here using the default settings, and then we're gonna move on to something else. Alright, here we go. Keep an eye out for that CPU and GPU usages, okay? So far, so good. Both are around like 50 to 60% most of the time. I can't drive, by the way, but it's all because of the GT710, obviously. That's the problem with every single issue in the entire world. It's down to the GT710 being in the planet. We need to eradicate every single GT710 out there, just like Bob. But yeah, you get the idea. It's gonna stay at 30 FPS the entire time. The GPU and CPU aren't anywhere near maxed out, so it's always gonna be a great experience. I just unlocked the FPS using the same settings in this race, and now it seems to be buttery smooth. Like, what the hell? It's not stuttering anymore. That is so weird. Maybe it's because it's now rendering the circuit instead of the entire map. Or maybe it's because we're not loading anything new. Okay, I gotta know. I just finished the race and I gotta play around here for a little bit with FPS unlocked. Yeah, there we go. It's already stuttering like crazy. So again, inside of races, I would unlock the FPS. Outside of races, you're better off just setting it to 30 right here and playing without any stuttering whatsoever. And maybe keep the settings like this as well, because if you're unlocking and locking the FPS from time to time, you want the FPS to be at 60 plus when you unlock them, you want the FPS to be at 30 when you lock them, and with these settings, it gets you just that experience. But, of course, I told you, we gotta select, why? Oh, there we go. Advanced settings over here, and let's go up to Ultra. It doesn't have Extreme in this game, apparently. So this is it. This is the Ultra settings preset. I'm gonna save that, and we gotta restart the game for it to apply. Alright, anyway, let's play this once again. This is Ultra settings. Not enough to keep us above 60 all of the time, even ignoring the stuttering, of course. It dips down here and there. But these are static settings now. It's not dynamic whatsoever. It is running on the Ultra settings preset at 50-ish frames per second. You know, if it wasn't for the stuttering, it would have been a great experience and super impressive for 15 watts. In a way, it's still very impressive for 15 watts of power for it to play this game with these graphics, huge open world, you know, and around 60 FPS on average. But the stutters kill the experience. Okay, so we gotta lock it to 30 once again, and now this is Ultra settings, 720p, 30 FPS capped. And it is buttery smooth every single time, as you can see. It doesn't move. Frame time is super consistent once again, guys. This is great. If you don't want to fiddle around with the FPS lock when you get into races and stuff, and you don't mind playing at 30 FPS for the entire time, this is it. Just set it to Ultra play at 720p or 800p, which is going to be exactly the same with the 30 FPS lock. It's just that the GPU usage will be slightly higher, very, very slightly higher. You know what, guys? We're gonna make our way to Edinburgh, right here. Big city, apparently. I don't think I've ever been there in Forza Horizon 4. I haven't played this game a lot, if you can't tell. Whoa, yeah. Crashes because of 710 again, my friends. It's not me. It's just the skin of the car. No. Oh, okay, very good. Okay, the little input lag that you get from the 30 FPS lock isn't really helping it either. Okay, I will blame it on the input lag and the skin with the GT710. That's it. Guys, I think I just found the perfect settings, actually. I totally forgot that you could adjust the refresh rate on the Steam Deck, so I set it to 40, locked the FPS to 40, and remember that with the Ultra settings, it never dropped from 50 FPS while the FPS were unlocked, aside from the stuttering issues that we were seeing before. So locking it to 40 frames, and I'm sorry, the on-screen display is too tiny right now, but it changed the internal resolution, and yeah, that's the best I can do right now. But it's always going to be at 40 frames per second this way, and it feels way more responsive than 30 on the Steam Deck. The input delay is way better, and it doesn't stutter either. Well, slightly sometimes, maybe because we are in this city area now, which is way more intensive, obviously. But yeah, it is a much better experience like this. If you prefer 60 FPS during races, again, use the optimized settings, the dynamic stuff. A little bit of a stutter there once again, unfortunately. And another one, okay, starting to get a bit more intensive. CPU usage is going orange sometimes on the on-screen display. That means that it's almost maxed out. And that's when the bigger stutters happen, I guess. But yeah, again, if you prefer the 30, 60 FPS experience, go with the normal settings of the game, the default ones, and unlock it whenever you are playing races. Otherwise, if you prefer... Oh, come on! I really thought I was gonna jump that. If you prefer a more consistent experience, 40 FPS all of the time with a couple of stutters here and there, that won't really kill the experience for you, I believe. You know, they're only happening every once in a while here in this huge city. And right now it's been really, really smooth. As you can see, that frame time doesn't have huge spikes anymore. And those that happen sometimes aren't really noticeable, so it's fine. Yeah, I myself would play like this. The graphics do look great. It's winter time. There are a lot of particles flying around that must be a little bit more intensive than spring before, right? Still have a lot of vegetation here, no problems. Yeah, it's just great like this. It's a 15-watt APU running Forza Horizon 4 at 720p Ultra settings, okay? With very playable results. Aside from these little stutters that will be gone if you set it to 30, it is gonna be a very good experience indeed. Thanks very much for watching this video. Catch you in the next one very soon. Love you all. Bye-bye.